Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle and today I'm going to be talking about my fall knitting plans. So in my last video, I covered all of the things that I knit this summer, and there were a lot of things because this year I have really rejuvenated my love for knitting, and that is only getting stronger as we go into the fall and the weather is getting cooler. I'm really excited to have some nice cozy handmade knits, and I have a few projects that I've been really excited about and kind of waiting for fall to work on them, and today I'm going to share with you what they are, and also for some of them I already have the yarn picked out or in my stash already, so I'm also going to talk about the yarns that I'm excited to knit those projects with. Before I get into it, let me tell you what I'm wearing today. I am wearing my open edge tee. This is a Jessie Maed Designs pattern, and I love this t-shirt. I wear it all the time. It's really nice to throw on top of things and it's really nice and casual. I knit it in this natural cream cotton color, and the yarn is Sandnes Garn Mandarin Petite, which is a 100% cotton yarn. So really great for summer, really nice and lightweight and breathable. So now let's get into the patterns that I am excited to knit this fall. The first one is the Oversized Seasons cardigan by Ozetta. And I really loved this cardigan from the moment I saw it. I just thought it was such a nice classic cardigan, but also has a lot of interest to it because it's knit in half fisherman's rib, so it has a really nice texture. I like the oversized cardigan design, and I think it's going to be really nice and cozy. I think I'm not actually someone who likes the look of cardigans usually, but I do find that I tend to grab them a lot when I'm like running out the door. They're really nice to have with me because I get cold really easily, so even in the summer I will always need to bring a cardigan with me when we go out to like the grocery store or shopping, and I do like to have those handy so I can just throw it on over a t-shirt or tank top. And of course in the fall you can layer cardigans, so I think it's going to be a really nice staple that I'll grab for it a lot, and I've actually already started this project and I think I've gotten decently far with it. Here's what I have so far. So this is like the back of the cardigan. You can see that beautiful texture. So the yarn that I am knitting this with is from Knitpicks, and it is their Simply Alpaca Aran weight yarn, and I have it in the color Alphonse. This is a really nice, soft, squishy yarn. It's really light and airy, and I love this beautiful natural color because for a lot of alpaca yarns, because alpaca comes in so many different colors, a lot of times you don't even need to add dye. There's a whole range of colors in this line that are all natural, and it just depends on like the color of the alpaca that the fiber comes from. So I think that's really cool, and I do really think that this like kind of warm gray brown color is really nice, and it's a nice staple to have. So I think my project is coming out really nicely, but I will say that it's not the most fun to knit because this alpaca yarn is super slippery, and for the size needles that I need to use, I'm using metal needles, and basically my stitches just keep flying off the needles. If I even just like look at them, they just decide to fall off the needles, and it's really annoying. I wish that I had wood needles that were in the size I needed, but I don't. The other thing is, because you're knitting like the button band and the body of the cardigan at the same time, it's just like a mess of needles because I have two sets of circular needles here, and you can see it's just like kind of crazy. So it's really annoying to knit, but I'm hoping that the result will be worth it. I'm almost done with my raglan increases, and then I can work on the body. And this is definitely taking a long time. I think it took me a couple weeks to knit this much of the cardigan so far because I have to constantly like make sure I'm holding on to all my stitches as I knit, and also with the half fisherman's rib texture, it does take a little longer than just stockinette, but I'm hoping that the result will be worth it. The fabric is really soft and drapey, and I'm not sure if alpaca is really the best fiber choice for this because it's a little drapier, and I don't know if it would have been better for me to choose a fiber that has a little bit more structure, like if it was 100% wool. But either way, I'm excited for the finished product, and it is really soft and fluffy, so I think it's going to be a really cozy cardigan. The next pattern that I am excited to knit is actually one for my husband, and it's called the Dead of Night sweater. And the second I saw this pattern, I just knew that my husband was gonna love it, and I ran it by him, and the second the photo came up on my screen, he was like, yep, that's the one. So my husband is kind of like obsessed with skulls. He just like has like little figurines of skulls in his room, and he's always just like attracted to things that have skulls on them. Don't ask me why, but it's definitely a thing with him. And he is a pretty basic person in terms of fashion, but I think that he appreciates having something a little bit edgier if it falls into like his certain aesthetic, and this definitely hits like all the points for him. So I'm really excited to knit this. I have never knit a colorwork piece before, so maybe it is kind of crazy for me to be jumping into like a men's size sweater, which is so much more fabric than I would have to knit for myself. But I'm excited to take it on. I feel like usually you just learn by doing things, so I'm not going to stress too much about the fact that I've never done colorwork before. I think this one will be pretty simple as a beginner piece because it is only 2 different colors and you're not like switching back and forth between a bunch of colors. So I think in that way it will be fine. The only thing is that it's just so much yarn and so much knitting. So I don't have the yarn for this project yet, but I already have in mind what I'm going to use, and I wanted to get 2 woolly knit cones. They're 100% British wool, and I want to use the color, I think it's like dark charcoal gray, and that's going to be the base color for the sweater, and then the contrast color is just going to be like a lighter heathered gray, because I know that those are the colors that Aran wants. And I think it'll look really nice in that design. There will obviously be a lot of contrast between like a lighter gray and a darker gray, so I think that will work out really well. So I haven't purchased the yarn yet because Inga from the Knitting Traditions podcast, she's going to be doing a collaboration with Woolly Knit, I think later this month, and she did mention that she was going to have a coupon code, so I'm waiting for that so that I can order the yarn with the coupon code. And I'm really excited to use this yarn because since it is like kind of a more rustic wool, which I haven't worked a lot with before, I think that it will hold up really well, which is great because I think my husband maybe can be a little bit more rough on his clothes, and I do want it to last a long time as well, because as long as I can get the pattern right, I think this is a piece that he'll just like grab all the time. I'm just hoping that it's not too itchy for him. I think both of us have a little bit more sensitive skin in terms of wool, and I'm not sure how itchy the wool is, but I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. It seems like a lot of people do like this yarn, so I am hoping for the best. So yeah, I wanted to go with the woolly knit cones because since it is a men's sweater, it is a lot of yarn. I would have to buy so many skeins or balls of yarn if I was just ordering them individually in like 50 or 100 gram balls. But since the cones come in 500 gram quantities, I can really be sure that I'm not going to run out of yarn, because that's a problem that I almost always have. I always order too little yarn and then run out of yarn for my project. And also, since I'm going to be knitting them in very basic staple colors, if I have any extra, then I can use it for future pieces. Okay, so the next project I want to knit is going to be like a very basic sweater but in a nice statement color. So I've been really inspired by the show Only Murders in the Building. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it, especially if you are into knitting, because that show has so much knitwear inspiration. It's incredible. Like every character in the show in every scene is wearing some kind of sweater, and I basically spend like half the show just looking at what everyone's wearing. It's very inspiring as someone who likes to knit. So the main character, Mabel, she wears a lot of sweaters, and she's played by Selena Gomez, by the way, and I've just been like eyeing all of these beautiful fall sweaters she's been wearing. So she has this kind of like mustard yellow one, and also I think in another scene she has like a periwinkle blue sweater, and they're both kind of like very simple silhouettes, but the color really makes them stand out. So I really wanted to do something like that in either one of those colors. I was thinking maybe like the brighter mustard yellow color, but I also have really been drawn to that like periwinkle or cornflower blue color lately, so I haven't quite decided what color I'm going to go for. And I think I am also going to be using woolly knit cones for that sweater. I'm either going to be using the 100% British wool or the merino wool. I haven't decided yet. It kind of comes down to what colors are available when I place my order. So we'll see what I'm able to get my hands on, but I've definitely been heavily inspired by that character on the show. And other than the knitwear, it's just a really fun show to watch, especially in the evenings, just to like wind down. It's kind of funny, but also has a little bit of like darker themes without being like too scary or too depressing. So it's been a really nice show for us to enjoy in the evening. So check it out if you haven't watched it yet. As for the pattern for this like more basic sweater, I'm either going to be knitting the No Frill sweater by PetiteKnit, or I found a free pattern that's called the Gingerbread sweater by Espace Tricot. I don't know how to say that. I think it's a French name maybe. But I think the free pattern is very similar to the No Frill sweater, so I haven't decided which one I'm going to go for. I know a lot of people like the No Frill sweater, but at the same time, if it's just a basic sweater and I can get the pattern for free, I might just go for the other one. We'll just have to see. So yeah, that's the sweater for fall that I'm really excited to knit for myself. Next on the list is a pair of socks, and these ones are again for my husband Aran, and I'm excited for these socks because this is a yarn that I dyed myself with marigold flowers. I think it came out so beautiful. So the base of this yarn is an alpaca sock yarn that I got from Knitpicks. I think it's 80% superwash alpaca and 20% like nylon or something like that. And the last time I ordered from Knitpicks, I don't know why, but I just like decided to buy a lot of alpaca stuff. So I have my alpaca sweater and this alpaca sock yarn. I just really like the idea of alpaca fiber for some reason. I think it's because one day Aran and I would like to have alpacas maybe, because we have like a little homestead farm here, and it would be nice if I have some experience working with alpaca fiber so that if one day we do choose to have alpacas, I will know what the fiber is like to work with. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. I'm really excited to work with this hand-dyed, naturally colored yarn. It looks a little lighter on screen, but it is a really like rich, kind of golden yellow color, not quite mustardy, but like a little bit deeper than like a yellow. And I think Aran and I have both really been loving this color lately, which is great because I think it's a great fall color. And even though he doesn't really gravitate towards colors like this for like his normal clothing, I think for socks you can pretty much have any color you want. So I think this is going to be a really nice pair of socks for him to keep his feet warm. It's really nice and soft and squishy. I have noticed that with my alpaca fibers, there seems to be like really long fibers that kind of stick out. It makes almost like a halo, so that's kind of interesting, and hopefully they don't shed too much as we wear them. And I'm just gonna do a vanilla sock with this. So yeah, I think it'll go pretty quickly. I've just been waiting to start this project because I didn't want to hand wind this skein of yarn, which I have been doing for all of my fingering weight projects, and it takes so long. But my birthday's coming up, and Aran ordered me a really nice ball winder, which I'm really excited about because it's going to make this process so much easier. And he's also making me a Swift that he made like by himself because he's really into woodworking. So yeah, with my new Swift and my new ball winder, I'm going to wind up this beautiful skein of yarn, and then I can get working on the socks. The next thing on my list, which is probably going to be bumped up to the top of the list, is kind of more on the summery side, and I am kind of going to be winging it a little bit. I'm going to be following kind of like the stitch count and the base pattern of the Ballerina Wrap top by Two of Wands, and this is a free pattern on her blog. I believe you can also purchase it for a price, and it'll be like nicely laid out in a PDF, but all the instructions are on her blog for free. So this is a top that kind of like wraps in the front and has a little tie by the waist, kind of like a ballerina type top silhouette. My idea is that I'm kind of going to do the top up until it gets to like this point, and then instead of like continuing in a triangle shape for the ties, I'm just gonna stop the increases and make it straight down so that it is kind of like a short sleeve cardigan, and I'm gonna make a little tie up here in the front and this is inspired by the short sleeve cardigans that are very trendy right now. And I probably am not bold enough to wear them the way a lot of people do, which is just with nothing underneath, and the cardigan is just like open down the front, but I think I will really enjoy it with a bralette underneath. And the main reason I wanted to knit this actually is because we have just planned a trip to Hawaii for November. So even though this is kind of like on the more summery side, it will be perfect for Hawaii where it's like pretty much always summer. And I thought this would be really nice as a beach cover-up because it's not quite like a full shirt, so it'll be still really nice and airy. But if I just want a little bit more coverage, if I am a little bit chilly, or if we're going out to a restaurant after going to the beach, I thought this would be a perfect thing to throw on. So I just picked up the yarn for this at my local yarn store because I was so excited about the idea, and I wanted to start working on it right away so that it's ready by the time we leave for our trip. So the yarn I picked up is the Sandnes Garn Line yarn, which is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So it's a nice summer yarn. I have it in this beautiful dusty icy blue color. The color is called Dusty Light Blue. And I think originally I had been planning on doing a more like brighter kind of pastel color, maybe like a pastel purple or a pastel blue, because I think that those like pastel colors look really nice with that kind of like cuter style of cardigan. But this was kind of the closest thing I could get in the colors available in the store, so that's what I got. I think it'll still be really nice, and maybe it's a little bit more wearable for me because it's not as bold. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I have not really done much in terms of like altering patterns before, and I probably am going to be making a lot of significant changes to get the look that I want. So hopefully that all goes well, and I'll be able to wear this for our vacation. I have one more thing on my list for things I want to knit. For this one, I've kind of had the idea of it for a while, but I haven't really nailed down the specifics of it. So the pattern I'm going to use is either the Ralph Zippy jumper by Tamera L or the zipper sweater by PetiteKnit. So both of these patterns are very similar. It's just like a long sleeve sweatshirt that has a zipper that goes like halfway down. So it's pretty much like a unisex kind of sweatshirt. And I think it's one that would be very practical for my life because I do like to just like throw things on, and I like the style of it because it's pretty casual, but at the same time it looks a little bit more put together. So I think it would be really practical for me. And I haven't decided which of those two patterns I'm going to use, and I am not really sure what yarn I'm going to use either, but I have an idea that I want to do kind of like a tweedy or heathered oatmeal color. I think that would be a really nice staple. The other idea I had is I think that the girl from Friday Knits, I don't remember her name, but I think she knitted something like this where she did most of the sweater in blue and then maybe just like the collar and the cuffs of the sleeves were in an oatmeal color, and I love that combination. So hopefully I can find a photo of how she did hers and maybe base my sweater off of that. But yeah, I think those are pretty much all of the things on my list right now. Who knows if I'll get to all of them? Probably not, because there are a lot of really big sweaters on this list and I don't even have the yarn for a lot of these projects yet. But these are just on my like wish list of things to knit this fall. I'll probably have more things that I'm going to end up knitting as well, because since we are going on that trip, I probably want to bring something with me to knit like on the plane or like while we're traveling. And I'm not going to want to bring like a whole sweater to work on, especially not a colorwork sweater where you have like multiple balls of yarn and everything can get tangled. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm going to pack for my trip in terms of projects to work on while we're sitting at the beach or sitting by the pool. So probably something very like lightweight. Maybe I'll retackle doing my summer shorts that I was working on that I showed you last time where I frogged the whole thing, and that was using my yarn that I dyed with Coreopsis flowers. So it would be nice to put that yarn into a finished project. So maybe that will be a good project for me to bring. But yeah, those are the things on my knitting wish list for this fall. Let me know down below what is on your project list for this fall, whether it's knitting, crafting, anything else. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.